So how did you? My fault. But how did you get into that? What made you get into marijuana retail, or how?
That's a interesting question. I mean, like, it's not a sexy question. I mean, or a sexy answer that I could give. Like, I don't think it's gonna be a sexy answer, but you know, I grew up selling weed. I
didn't want to assume that, but
yeah. No, it's fine. Like, and not only weed, crack. Dope. No, I've been convicted of that shit. You know what I'm saying? So it's already on record. It's public record. It's public record. It's public record
right now.
Yeah, it's public record.
I've been caught.
Yeah, no, it's public record. Like that. I grew up selling weed. I grew up around weed. You know what I'm saying? Weed always been a part of my culture. And honestly, like what led me to getting into the legal space though was my political side, activism. You know, like around 2013, I had got hired or appointed rather by the mayor at the time of Hartford, Pedro Segarra, to be his deputy chief of staff. Mm-hmm. And because of my criminal background, even though Hartford had passed a law, a provision that's called, best known as ban the box, which means that when you go apply at the city of Hartford, they don't have that on applications. Have you been convicted of a felony? Yes or no? It doesn't exist. And I wasn't somebody who had put in the application, right? I just got appointed. When you are appointee of a mayor, of one of the executives,
all that
don't matter. You don't do an application until after you get appointed. And it's the application just to have your information for your insurance, everything else. What really happened is the Hartford Current, through, you know, somebody who knew my history, most likely, put a call into the mayor, said, this guy y'all announced yesterday.
He has a criminal background.
Yeah, he got a criminal background. You okay with that? And the mayor wasn't okay with that. So, you know, it became public news, all that. And once it got in the media, I was like, yo, instead of trying to stay in this job and fight this man to be in a job, I'm a step, but I'm gonna make something out of it. I'm gonna make it mean something. Mm-hmm. So I stepped and I went back to the job I was at previously, and then I got a job downstairs in City Hall also, because within the job that I had previously, I had got somebody who had the power to appoint people elected. So that person then appointed me their deputy. She was the registrar. Her deputy had went back home to St. Lucia, so she needed a deputy. She's like, bro, I got you. So now I'm in City Hall, right? So I'm in my old job and in City Hall, and I'm like, yo, from here, I really want to invest my time in making sure that people's rights, you know, fair chance opportunities. And I had already been, you know, working in politics for a minute at that time, or at least for a few years at that time. But I was like, yo, I really want to focus on people's rights, because I know, you know, for me, like I was able to just, you know, a couple of days later get my old job back, and now I'm pointing to another job. Worried. Yeah, but for most people, that's not a reality. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it was at a time for me not a reality,
especially with your criminal background.
That's my point. You know what I'm saying? Like for when, you know, when I had to go do the same shit everybody else do, go apply at Home Depot, apply here, apply there, apply there.
Same job don't accept you with your circumstances.
Yeah, but then I used to go through the same shit, getting waved off, not getting a job. Like you see, like, never forget, a bunch of us, niggas that y'all might know, or definitely some of your audience would know, like, we all came home around the same time. We all went to go apply at UPS. You know what I'm saying? Like 4 or 5 deep. And, you know, only 2 of us got the job, right? But 3 didn't get the job. Same scenario at different places. I got the job that time, but many other times, other people ain't get the job. You see what I'm saying? Like, or I ain't get the job. Exactly. So I'm saying, like, so I was like, let me invest my time into this, whatever spare time I got, into rights. And I, like, you know, fair chance rights. So I had a certain agenda. First, do ban the box. Second, like, really attack voting. figure out how we could get more people into voting, because I felt like, honestly, voting changed my life. First time I ever got to vote, it changed my life, and we'll talk more about that.
No, I want you to elaborate a little bit.
For sure. But I'm gonna jump into it. We're not gonna forget it, because it's a big part of what I do. But I want to make sure I keep this the continuity.
I feel like it's important, because we in the Black community specifically, we are on the fence on the importance. For sure.
I definitely am on the fence.
For sure, and I think it's like, duh. You should be. As a Black person, you should be on the fence about it.
Because of our history with voting.
Exactly. You should be on the fence. And we could go deep into that to some degree.
But that's a whole nother story. Yeah. We could tie into certain stuff. Yeah.
We could just talk about stuff. But yeah, so then the third thing, and this came about more like 2016, is when legalization happened in California, with like full-on recreational legalization, or adult use legalization happened in California and Maine, Washington and Oregon. You know, due to the job that I had that time, I had a national job, so national political job. I was bouncing around, going to different places in different states and shit. And I went to this conference, and I was, was meeting with different people in Vegas that was all like doing these different pushes on cannabis, on marijuana, whatever, weed, nigga. And so for me, that then I added that to my agenda. At the same time, around 2016, it was in City Hall, maybe 2016, yeah. Around that time is when he became a guy named Jason Ortiz that like was really passionate. He was the aide to my friend who was on city council, Wildelise Bermudez. So Jason, like, he would do whatever Wildelise needed him to do, but he just needed weed to be a part of the agenda. Everything. He didn't matter.
Like bill. Like when you pass a bill, it's not just that one.
No, he didn't need it to be in everything. He just needed weed. Like, I'll do all your stuff, but I need you to support weed. Okay. And it wasn't a problem for her. So they went hard. So I mean, this is a long story, but just getting to it, over time, Jason, I ran for office. Jason managed my campaign. He's a friend, so I helped him with stuff on the weed side. And then, working on that type of stuff, people who have been friends with for years, who have already been into weed on the medical side, the folks at Flying Federal, these are people, these are friends, personal friends and shit. They, I linked them with Jason. And then by this time, Jason had different people from around the state, because of his activity, him and Wildelise, he was now in a position to put up a state bill. He had first did a city Hartford bill, just like a resolution.
But now you had enough. Now you got enough to do the whole thing.
So because it wasn't legal, but it was just like Hartford is saying we would support. You know what I'm saying? He pushed for that. It took him maybe 1 or 2 years to do that, but he pushed for that. Then once he got it to a certain level, he came to me, came to some other people, came up with a bill. I went and introduced him to a legislator that I knew, a black legislator, and he put in a bill. You know what I'm saying? So now I'm linking him with the folks from Flying Federal. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, this is the way. In order for it to get done, all sides gotta be on, on the same page to some degree. And over time, I'm having talks with them. I'm having talks with him. I'm looking at the landscape. I'm like, yo, I've been doing this, form of activism at this point for like 10 years. This form of this is my career for like 10 years. I want to put myself in a position to become, at the very least, a potential candidate in this thing. Like, I stuck as Jason talking to me about different stuff and what his idea was, like what he wanted to do with cannabis and whatever. And I'm like, okay, I'm thinking about different stuff. I'm hearing from my folks at Flying Federal. I'm like, okay, like different stuff. So I'm like, all right, let's make me a good candidate. Because I already know I'm like a poster boy for this type of shit. Like, I really lived this life. You know what I'm saying? I really been through this. Like, I grew up selling weed, smoking weed, You know, it's been in my house since I
You know
never
weed.
knew enough. Yeah, I know weed,
You know
bro.
weed.
Nah, this nigga's a weed connoisseur. So weed connoisseur for real.
Okay, bet.
Like for real.
You can teach weed.
Yeah.
To some degree, and I won't take. I could teach weed consumption.
No, but
weed sells.
That's fine.
Weed sells.
yeah.
Weed sells.
And quality.
In quality.
But that's what I'm saying.
For sure.
There's a standard to good weed. There got to be a good standard for good weed. So, all right.
So, keeping on with it, I started saying, you know, I'm gonna make myself into a candidate for this shit. I want to figure out how to do this shit. So I had talks with a lot of different people, and then, you know, it just ended up coming a time where I was having talks with 3 different groups on how we could partner, and it was like the 3 little bears. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know the story of the 3 little bears. It just ended up being that, like, my friends, the people that I knew 20 plus years, ended up being like, we had the best thing possible.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Couldn't have worked no better.
It couldn't have worked no better. You know, it was people with different dollars, different people with different interests or whatever. But like after talking and having different conversations, it was like, all right, this is a great fit. And we pushed on from there. That's making it as short as I possibly can, because the steps even into making myself a best candidate is like, you know, that's the part of where 5 Star Fronto came from. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, we know a lot of people they doing whatever with Leaf. You know, they putting whatever on Leaf. I'm like, man, I smoke this shit. I don't know where some of this shit be coming from.
Facts.
I'm gonna start my own. I started doing real research, real investigation, really getting out there, spending a lot of time on farms out here in Windsor. You know what I'm saying? Did I give away the location? I'm sorry.
It's okay. Niggas probably
Windsor
still ain't
big.
gonna take the steps.
There's like South Windsor, East Windsor, Windsor big.
Niggas done went to North Carolina.
Oh,
We went all the way to North Carolina to tobacco fields out there.
So what?
In a cotton field.
Yeah, in a cotton field or two.
With a man that probably would have wanted us to be on the cotton field.
Yeah, at a different time.
He's in the suburban with
Hey, boy.
Yeah.
Hey, boy.
Yeah.
Don't pick that
He was a really cool dude.
No, I was
bro.
about to say he's a cool dude, but in a different
You
time.
doing a different time.
In a different
It
time.
wouldn't have been that cool.
Nah, it wouldn't have been cool at all. It wouldn't have been cool at all.
You would have never left.
So
Nah.
what goes into making
Tobacco
hot
farms
grubber?
on Kentucky. Yeah.
What goes into making hot grubber? Because you don't.
We're
just,
not going
you
to
just
get
don't.
into that. You talk to Colonel Sanders like that? Why you disrespecting me, bro? What's wrong with you? You gonna talk to Colonel Sanders like
I
that?
would. Yes.
He ain't gonna tell you. That's like the secret recipe, bro.
Yeah,
I'm talking
but
about,
I'm not telling you. Give me the specifics.
It's called trade secrets.
Yeah, what's
Nah,
wrong
like,
with
You
you?
can't give away
Like, what
those.
the, all right,
Don't
what's the
do that.
What's the general process of curing?
It's the IP.
It's the IP.
Yeah, I mean that's this.
So you
this
found
is-
Intellectual property.
You
Yeah,
found the
it's just-
secret sauce to make the perfect grubber.
I never said that.
You try it.
We gonna
Okay,
roll
I have a
this bitch
question.
up.
I have
We
a
gonna
question
roll
for
this
it.
bitch
Is
up.
there a sauce to making grabber?
Is there a sauce to making anything? This is a very
No.
philosophical podcast.
Sometimes things
What
don't
is high?
need sauce.
Yeah, what is
What is higher? What
higher
is learning? What is learning?
This is how niggas
Never
get away
seen that
from
shit.
shit.
I think
Nah.
you
This is how
cracking
niggas
up.
get away with
Never
doing
seen
shit.
that.
They
Nah.
deflect.
Mr.
Yeah,
Williams.
tell you some other shit.
Mr. Williams.